Should've stayed at home. Cause right now I see all these people that love me, but I still feel alone. Can't help but check my phone. I could've made you mine, but no, it wasn't meant to be. And see, I wasn't made for you, and you weren't made for me. Though it seems so easy. And that's because I wanna.
Alright guys, so first things first are my hotbar binds or weapon binds, but before I get into that, I just want to let you guys know that everybody's muscle memory is different and everybody's preferences are different. So it's mainly what you're comfortable with. Even with that, I was comfortable with my other binds, but I had some major issues with how I performed. One of the major issues with my old binds for me was using wheel to scroll through my slots. It wasn't through all my slots, but I had scroll wheel up and scroll wheel down binding to my first two slots, and that didn't help at all knowing that I had scroll click binded to my 4, and I still have it binded to my 4. So getting into my hotbar binds from left to right, it goes Q, X, C, R, 1, 2. So all these keys are around WASD or your movement keys, and I believe how fast you can switch your weapons is really crucial. So X is my first weapon slot, which I usually hold my shotgun in. I'll always be using this slot, and it's probably my most used slot compared to R, and we'll get into that as well. So in my second slot, C is where I always put my SMG or like the gun I would be spraying with. It's like my secondary basically. And now I know for R, most people usually have it as their reload button, and I did as well, but to make room for my hotbar binds, I had to switch it up and adapt to these new changes so I could improve. So I know I use R a lot, so I made it mainly for my AR, and that just made it a crucial weapon for me to pull out, if that made any sense. But so 1 and 2 are used for whatever. Usually I use it for redeploy or healing, and that's mainly it for my hotbar binds. Also my pickaxe is Q. I usually use it with my index finger. I'm pretty sure that's what it's called, and that's just most convenient for me for my pickaxe, because I'm always using it. So it's just habit, it's just what you're comfortable with, and we could get into my keybinds. Alright guys, so I switched over my camera to my mouse, mainly because we're going to go over my building binds, and all my building binds are on my mouse. So I know this is not normal because I know people do keyboard and mouse for building binds, but I'm not too sure if a lot of people put all their binds on their mouse for building. So we're gonna go over the amount of buttons I have on my mouse. So I have 6 buttons on my mouse. This is a Razer Lancet, and I'll put my keyboard as well, which is a Ducky 1-2 Mini. But so I have 2 here. Here, let me see if this could focus. Alright, you guys see this, but I have 2 here, and this is the left side, so this is where my thumb is placed.
Alright, honestly for this part I really didn't need to go that much in detail for 6 mouse buttons, so I just sped all this up and blah 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 blah, and basically I just put it on the screen and there you go. So you guys just copy it. It's basically simple. I don't know why I went super in detail, and yeah.
Alright guys, so before we go into my actual binds or the rest of them, and as well as my hotbar and building binds, because I think it would be best to show you guys in the settings as well rather than just me talking about them. So before we do that, here are my graphic settings. I know some of you will ask, but here's my frame rate. It's capped at 160 because supposedly if you do unlimited or any more than that, I'm not too sure, but if you do any more than that, your CPU will hurt. And And for my view distance, I have it on far or epic is fine. I'd rather have it on epic, but sometimes my textures don't load, and that's a big problem for the start of the games. So everything else is off or low. VSync off, motion blur off, and then we'll go to my sensitivity. So my X and Y is 0.280 and 0.197. So for my DPI for my mouse, it is 800. Everything will be on the screen, so that way you guys don't have to keep on going back if I'm talking too fast. But nothing over here, so we could, all of this stuff is mainly personal preference. Obviously you should probably have turbo building on unless you want to be spamming. And then we're gonna go to my actual binds. So for this one, I'm just gonna scroll through, and you guys can just pause and do all that other stuff. Actually, I think I might want to explain a few. So for my wall, it's the ones I described to you guys. Floor is binded to N because my scroll click is N, because your scroll click actually doesn't register as a button in this game, I guess. So that's what that's binded to. And then stairs is my thumb mouse button too. Roof, supposedly your mouse buttons only show up as 2, so you need to bind the rest of your mouse buttons to different keys. At least that's what mine does for me. And so I binded roof to F5, which is binded to one of my mouse buttons. And then trap T, etc. I think everything else is right. So rotate building is also one of my other mouse buttons. It is K, but it's binded to mouse button.